Raiders! Let's go, Raider Nation! We finally won a game. Raiders win 30-6. They beat the New York Giants, and I gotta say, this team looked so much different. I'm not gonna say it's possible Josh McDaniel was the only problem. Well, he probably wasn't the only problem, but he was a huge problem. You could clearly tell that from the very first snap that the energy and the aggressiveness of the Raiders was on display. The energy was different. You could tell right away. They played as a team, and they played a complete game. And I can't remember the last time I could say that. Shout out to Antonio Pierce and Bo Hardigree for their first games as head coach and offensive coordinator. They coached one hell of a game. One hell of a game. Maybe it was the players, but I don't. It was just a whole team, just an entire team together playing to their potential. Now, it's not a coincidence that when Josh McDaniels is gone, the first game, we score more than 21 points in the first half. We haven't done that all year for the whole game. And then in the first half, without Josh McDaniels' first game, 21 points at the half. They fed Josh Jacobs like Josh McDaniels should have done, and almost got to the 100-yard mark. In fact, he did, but then he lost 3 yards on that final run that he had. But what are you gonna do? He still had one hell of a game. 2 touchdowns, 98 yards. I mean, he looked like his old self, Josh Jacobs. He was running people over. He was breaking tackles. He was making guys miss. He was running angry. Right? We were shaking up some plays, running some reverses. We had a good balance of run and pass. Right? There was about 25 pass attempts and about 34 runs. So 34 runs, 26 pass. With a rookie quarterback, you want to run a little more, but they still gave O'Connell some passes just to see what we got, and he looked okay. I thought he managed the game well. He didn't turn the ball over. He made some good throws. He checked out of some throws. I saw he checked out a few plays, and I thought that was very good to see O'Connell. However, there were some throws you wish you had back, some deep throws he missed, and a couple throws where he left his receivers a little vulnerable, right? But he had some drops as well, right? There was that lob pass with pressure at his face to Jacoby Myers, and Jacoby, you got to catch that. And I think that happened a couple times where Jacoby dropped like 2 passes. That would have extended the drive. We saw some Hunter Renfrow. We had some Hunter Renfrow sightings, right? 2 catches for 32 yards, but those 2 catches, they looked like what we're used to seeing Hunter Renfrow doing. So it was really good to see the Raiders kind of playing to expectations a little bit. Now, obviously, Daniel Jones went out, and Tommy DeVito, their backup quarterback, went in. And so, take it with a grain of salt, but a win is a win. I'm not going to apologize for it. You got to beat the team that's ahead of you. And, Giants defense, say what you want. It's a decent defense. They have some players, to cause havoc. And the fact that we scored 30 points on them, 21 in the first half, is very impressive. Now, did we get a little conservative at the end there? Probably. You like to see a more, aggressive approach, like some of the other teams, other good teams, right? But, the defense was on fire, and they probably felt later in that game that handing it off to the defense and letting them to do their thing was probably the best way to go. You didn't want to have O'Connell making a mistake or force anything in there. Um, but overall, it was an amazing game to watch, and for the first time all year, I could say that we played a complete game. Now, it was against the Giants. Say what you want. Next week against the Jets, that's a better defense. And if our offense comes out again, aggressive, and we score points, there's something to this team. Now, obviously, probably not on the same level as the Kansas City Chiefs or the Miami Dolphins, but if we play like this, like what we do next week, we have a chance against the Jets. If we keep that momentum going forward, we can beat teams like the Minnesota Vikings, right? So there's still a lot to answer. There's a lot for Antonio Pierce and Bo Hardegree and Aiden O'Connell and the rest of the Raiders. For them to answer like who they are and what the future is going to bring. But for the time being, Raider Nation, we celebrate this win. You celebrate every win, right? You celebrate them as they come, and then we go on to the next week. Man, I'm just so pumped. I'm so pumped. This was fun to watch. Watching Max Crosby pretty much live in the backfield. He had an incredible game. He had let me see. I'm pretty sure he had 3 sacks. Yeah, he had 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, 8 total tackles, 6 of them solo. Right? And he wasn't the only one. Robert Spillane got half a sack. Trayvon Moore got a sack. Malcolm Koonce got a sack, but that was because Daniel Jones, he started that game and he kind of buckled and fell to the ground, and Koonce was luckily there to touch him down. But then we got a Tyree Wilson sighting. He was, he was fine, but it was good to kind of see him get in there. He got a quarterback hit as well. So it was really nice to see him do that. Amik Robertson, incredible, incredible game. He had a pick and he had 2 pass defense. Right, he had 2 passes deflected. Marcus Peters had a pass deflection. Jacorian Bennett had a really good pass deflection. Right, and then Nate Hobbs off the tip drill. So we had 8 total sacks. Two picks. We had no turnovers. It was just a clean game. Besides some of the holding penalties that kind of stalled or slowed down our drives a little bit, we kind of have to hold that up. But we are Raiders. It's going to happen. We're going to get flags, right? Just can we overcome them? That's the question, right? We all know the refs on our side every single week. We're at least going to get 6 or 8 plus penalties. Just are we playing to the point where we can overcome that? And the penalties weren't an issue. I think overall, for penalties, as far as penalties go, that we had, it actually wasn't that bad. It was 4 penalties, but they were kind of costly. Right? They were kind of at bad points. Every time Josh had a big run, we had a holding call, right? And I think half of those were one of them. There was a big one on Jacoby Myers. But overall, we did very well. We won time of possession. Actually, no, they won time of possession. My bad. They had 31 minutes and 4 seconds. But that was probably because at in that last quarter, we just went three and out, three and out, three and out, and our defense just kind of held them. Um, but I think the big thing was the total yards. We have 334 to their 277, right? So we had more yards per play, passing yards, obviously. Oh, we just overall it wasn't the cleanest game that you can have, but it was enough to win the game. Um, and defensively, it was pretty dominating. There was that one drive where they scored a touchdown, but that was really late in the game. That was in the fourth quarter, where you can kind of tell we were playing conservative. We were playing prevent defense. Just to kind of kill the clock. But I'm really proud of this team. I'm proud of Antonio Pierce. I'm proud of Bo Hardigree. It's amazing what a coach and a quarterback change could do for a team. Is Antonio Pierce is he the future for the Raiders? I don't know. Is Aiden O'Connell the future quarterback for the Raiders? I don't know. There's still 8 more games left, and hopefully by that time we can figure it out. But as far as I could tell, Antonio Pierce did a hell of a job on a short week getting us ready for this game. I still need to see a little bit more out of Aiden O'Connell. This was only his second start, so there's still a lot for him to learn, and there's still some things he's got to clean up. He's got to learn how to throw those deep passes a little bit better. Even on that deep pass to Trey Tucker, he kind of overthrew him a little bit, and Trey Tucker had the layout. So great catch for Trey Tucker. But if that was a perfect pass, that would have been, who knows, he could have took that to the house because he had his guy clearly beat. But there were a few other plays where Devontae Adams or Myers clearly beat their guy off the sideline, and he just kind of overthrew him or just kind of put him in a spot where uh, they took a good lick from the safety. So Aiden O'Connell's got to learn how not to do that, and sometimes put a little touch on the ball, because Aiden O'Connell kind of zips it in there. He's got a pretty live arm. He may not be able to throw it far, but he has some acceleration on that ball, and he's got to learn when to put more touch on that ball. And I think that'll come over time. I think maybe hopefully around his fourth or fifth start, we should be able to see some progress with him. But, he was the game manager. It was very clear that today was feed Josh Jacobs. And it was very nice to see us not get away from that game plan, where Josh McDaniels in the past would early on feed Josh Jacobs and then just completely abandon the game plan. Completely. But today, we fed Josh Jacobs, and we continued to feed Josh Jacobs through the whole game, and look what happens. We scored 30 points. But anyway, Raider Nation, I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to go ahead and enjoy this win. I want you to enjoy this win too. I'm going to be back later this week to kind of break down the game a little more after I go ahead and watch a little bit more tape, see kind of more of a breakdown in depth on what I saw from the game, kind of look at individual players, individual plays, highlight those. But overall, enjoy this win, Raider Nation, and it's on to the New York Jets. Let's go, Raider Nation! Woo! Peace!